for my bit, I would only say that my life, I never thought that would go this far, and I would be actually playing badminton, being part of the badminton circuit for such a long time. It all was by chance, blessings, grace of God, that I think that I'm here. Having said that, I'll just share a bit of my journey and my experience and talk about time management and what my perspective is. Because my understanding of sport and the way I've looked at things, sometimes it seems very different for me. My father worked in a bank, so every 3 years he would get transferred. So my initial years were in a small district called Raigada in Orissa. Then the next few years were in Chennai, and next few years were in coastal Andhra in a place called Ongole. So every 3 years he would get transferred. And when I was 11 years old, I came to Hyderabad. As normal kids, and during the time 1985, everybody was playing cricket in the country, thanks to the Cricket World Cup victory in '83. And I was also the same. I loved cricket. I was playing cricket. I broke a few window panes. I got sunstroke. My mother said, this fellow seems to be outside most of the time playing some sport or the other. Let us go and go to the stadium and join him for cricket. I went there. We went to join for cricket. Cricket was full. So the next choice was to go and seek an admission in tennis. Later, I realized, or I came to know, that my parents thought that tennis was not the right sport because there were too many cars parked outside. And then I went to the badminton stadium to play just because the admissions were available. Sometimes you don't know what destiny has in store for you. And it was the same for me. So for the initial years, I don't know why, how these things, but from the perspective of practice, something which struck me very early was that if you need to be better than your competition, then you need to work that little extra. And that is what helped me, especially in those initial years. If my fellow players, we were all 12-year-olds, we were about 4-5 of us who joined in that summer coaching camp of 1985. And we would go out there to play. And somehow it dawned on me that if I practice as much as they did, I would never be better than them. So if they came to the stadium at 6 o'clock in the morning, I would reach there at 5:45. And if they left the stadium at 7:30, because school was normally at 9, I would hang on for another 10 minutes and play, so that that 10 minutes before, that 10 minutes afterwards, I thought would really help me to be better than them. And as time went by, I realized that whenever I was at home, I was studying, and we as a family, and many of you would know that Telugus, especially around that time, had only two professions. Either you could be a doctor or an engineer. And I was also no different. My parents were strict at home, and I was doing maths, physics, and chemistry growing up, aspiring to be an engineer, because that's the only thing which we knew. Luckily for me, there was a year where I failed the engineering exam. And that year, things changed for me. My parents said, you get a year to play badminton. And if you win, or if you do well, then you can get an admission and get to play badminton as a career. Luckily, that year I won the junior nationals. And then I got my first job in Tata Steel. And that is when truly my badminton career has actually started. But even those initial years, somehow, when all the kids and the seniors would go to there was a cafe called Jannat, and they would go sit, sip tea and eat biscuits and stuff. I don't know where, how, why I felt that this was a waste of time. And that time I could spend doing something constructive. And that few minutes before, few minutes afterwards, the few minutes when everybody was resting, these were the times where the extra practice actually helped me become better. And for me, those few minutes which added on really helped me to become the player whom I am